Hello, everyone. Welcome to Third Shot Podcast. We have another great episode in store for you all. But before we jump into it, we want to make sure that you've clicked follow or subscribe wherever you're listening or watching so that you don't miss any future episodes. You can also take it a step further and follow us on social media, Instagram and Facebook at Third Shot Podcast or on X at Third Shot Pod. And now we get to grab our glasses and toast with Uncle Greg and Russ.
Toast to you, Bridgie. Cheers.
Cheers.
So, Russ, we got to start with you. You've
been a rough-
had a little bit of I don't know,
Oh.
what do you call it? What's going on in your household right now?
Oh man. So we'll make this a scary story up front here. But you wake up in the morning and you go out into the hall and you see basically like the scene from Dexter right outside your hall, like all over the hall. There's blood like spattered on the wall, on the floors.
Oh my
Like,
God.
I'm like, what happened here? Actually, though, really, we walked right past it, didn't even notice, and then got coffee, turned on the lights. That's when we noticed. But anyway, so it was like, what happened? Like the cats like really get in that bad of a fight? We knew it was the cats right away because there were paw prints in the blood. Like,
Oh,
what is happening? Like, so we check the cats. And we look at our new kitten that we got. I had it on the show at one point.
Yep.
Early on here, right? And yeah, she. So her nails get really like long, and she's a little clumsy, and so she gets stuck on things. So I think
I've
she got
never heard a
stuck.
cat described as clumsy before.
Yeah, she's clumsy. So she got her back paw, the nail there, stuck in something. I'm assuming. I don't know what. It might be the rug. I don't know. I mean, we have hardwood floors, so it's got to be the rug, I guess. She pulls away so hard. Now, in the middle of the night, we did hear the cats like crying, like like as if they were fighting, and we yelled. But it must
Aw.
have been that when
Sad.
she did this. So she pulled it out. Like all the way to the bone. That's how
Oh.
bad it was. It was like, and so it was, bleeding the whole, and we had to go to the emergency vet. And she's already like a really like she's also a nervous cat, so she's clumsy and nervous. And so, like you make the slightest noise and she jumps. So it's like, okay, how do we get her to the vet? And like I'm talking to her in the car, trying to calm her down. It was working. She was cool. But yeah,
Oh,
jumping to the end of the story here, $500 later, a couple
Oof.
hours in the vet, and she now has a cast and a cone. So
How long
no.
does she have to be in that?
she has to be in the cone, I think, well, we're gonna take her Wednesday again to go see like the follow-up thing, but the cone is like a week, and the cast is at least up until Wednesday, and they'll change it on Wednesday and either put on a new one or let her take it off. But it's so sad because you see her like she wants to try to get the cast off, so she's shaking her back leg and doing all this
What
stuff to try
what's a cat
to get
cast
away.
like? Is it like
Well,
a human cast or what's a cat cast?
it's more of like a band-aid or bandage, I guess. I think it's just like a bunch of gauze like wrapped up, and then they have some kind of hard thing on the outside of it. I think. I don't know. They did mention that they had to like that they were cutting her hair. So I don't know if they actually shaved. Like I might have a cat with one bald leg. I don't know. But it is we'll show it on I mean, I have the picture that I'm sure I could show somewhere else, but
Oh,
there she is. There's the
got the cone
cast.
of shame and the
There's
bloody.
the shame cone.
Oh,
And
she looks so scared. Poor
so
Yeah.
thing.
scared and just so like upset. And then she has this little lamb that she carries around. Yes, she's like a
Oh,
dog. She
lamb
carries around a
chop.
lamb. As soon as I gave her the little lamb, she did start purring again. So
Good.
she's eating, she's drinking, everything normal there. But yeah, Yeah, it's
Are you giving her
I
shots of alcohol to help her with the pain? Is that what
I
she's
probably
drinking?
should. They did give her like pain med to deal with the pain yesterday, but and she seems fine today. So we'll see how this goes over the next few days. But yeah, it was a dramatic day and lots of lots of cleaning. Um,
Did you
Oh,
find her nail
I
anywhere?
haven't. No,
Ooh.
no, I don't know where.
so
Yeah,
is the blood all over the house or just on that one hallway?
just in the hallway.
So she kinda stays there? Is that where she
No, no, I don't know. Like I I don't. I'm guessing maybe it was like kind of too painful to get away or something. I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah, she was hanging out there when we got out there in the morning.
Wow. I'm so sorry for her, and, obviously, it's dramatic for the family too.
Yeah, it's just it's not fun.
Yeah,
You get the new kitten. I've had so much cat drama in this house. We had our other cat disappear for 3 weeks a few
I
years
remember
ago.
that.
Oh my
I
That
remember
gosh.
was
that.
no good. Came back all skinny and like
Yeah, but
we're
he came
knocking
back,
at the
that's
door.
cool.
It came back.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've had some cat drama and I was looking into pet insurance while we were warming up for the show 'cause I
It's a
think
good
I need that.
idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you think about it, you've got human insurance, right, for health, like, I
Yep.
mean, and I guess playing pickleball, and Greg, with all your injuries, you need some you need to make
Oh,
sure you're insured,
yeah,
right?
Right.
you had to bring that up, but it's pretty relevant today, actually.
Oh, yeah?
It
What
Oh, no.
happened?
Oh, man. Well, in the Bay Area, it's been raining, right? Russ knows it's been raining and stuff like that. But I wanted to go play this morning, and the group was out there, so we all got our towels and we're kind of wiping down the court so that we're trying to soak up as much water as possible. And we're all diehards, so we wanted to get out there and play, even though it was still fairly wet, right? But the sun kind of broke out, so we were hopeful that it was just gonna dry out the courts. So we did the best we could, then we started playing and stuff. And the way our courts are set up, at one end of the court is drains, like metal drains where the water kind of flows out. Um, and sure enough, my foot hit that drain and my foot came out. I went flying. I looked like Charlie Brown.
Oh,
Oh,
So with
jeez.
getting
no.
yeah, I went but everything went flying. My arms are flailing. I land flat on my rear end. I put my hand down to try to brace myself. I jam my finger. I'm like so embarrassed. Right? Because everybody, all four courts stop and they go, Greg, are you okay?
Right.
That's
And
the worst
I'm
part.
Oh,
I'm trying to be as cool as possible. Yeah, yeah, I'm good, I'm good. Okay, come on, who's served? Let's play." And I'm inside, I am just hurting, right? I am just oh. So right now, yeah, I am feeling the pain. But in that moment, okay, this is the sickness, the business sickness that I have. In that moment, what crosses my mind is okay, we got to come up with a product that can deal with these courts after rains happen to keep people
mm,
safe, right? So here's my idea. I want you guys to give me some feedback on this. So you guys know like Roombas, right? Those vacuums that are automatic in the house, right? You just turn it on and it just does its thing, right? Cleans the house.
if you listen closely, mine's on in the background right now.
Oh, so there we go. So I'm thinking I want to invent a Roomba for pickleball courts that has two settings. The first setting sucks up the water, right? All the standing water from the court, has a little reservoir. You just go empty it out in the drain or in the plants or something like that, right? So that's the first setting. The second setting is a heated blower.
Oh,
So after you suck up all the water, you go setting number 2, you let it do its thing, and it just blows hot air on the court and dries it all out. That is my invention. How many places around the country have
yeah,
a lot of rain and diehard pickleball players that wanna play on the courts, but they're too wet?
right.
Exactly. And you can market it as being eco-friendly because you can water plants with the water that it sucks
Exactly.
out.
Right? So
Yep.
what do you think? Do
You're
we
onto
got something?
something.
I like it. I think it's cool. I think
I know
we
that
gotta make
there's
this thing happen.
Yeah, there's something that like a squeegee where you like pull it and it's like a have you seen it? It's like a bar
Yeah,
and there's a
yeah,
rope attached. It kind of like how they do the fields for baseball, but
right.
you just like go over the court. But if it's automatic, you can set it and forget it, and then your court will be ready.
Exactly, exactly. Just
I
have
love
it
it.
on batteries or charge it up or whatever. Boom, just let it go. Let it run for a half hour before you're ready to play and the court's
Yeah.
ready to go and you just rotate it to the next court after that one's done and right. I think we got something. I think we got something. This is like a necessity for pickleball players in areas that deal with rain.
And
Yeah.
we also need new drain covers.
We in my
Right.
group we do.
Right.
We
Oh,
need
man.
something. Yeah, that oh my gosh. Now I'm
Oh,
thinking lawsuit. No, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Aside from everybody turning and asking you if you were okay, are you really okay? Did you hurt anything?
My pride is probably the first thing that I heard. It's actually my hand. My hand hurts the worst from
mm,
Oh
bracing myself
no.
and falling. That's my
yeah.
tailbone kinda hurts. My hamstring kinda hurts a little bit. I think it kinda like I tried to recover or I don't know. I don't know what happened. It happened so quick, but all I know, I was down on the ground, like, instantly. I'm like, "What just happened to me?"
Oh, geez.
That's such a
Yeah.
bummer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Well, it's a good thing you're
Very
wearing
good.
shoes because you might have got your toe stuck in there. Your toe would have come out. You would have been
Oh,
to the emergency vet.
I woulda
It
had
would
to
have
wear the cone.
Cone of shame.
I would have had to do the next 3 podcasts in the cone of
with the
shame.
cone
Thank goodness
on.
that didn't happen, so, anyway,
Oh,
we're all good, we're all good. Your cat's good,
that's good.
I'm good, we're gonna mend up.
All right.
Yes.
Well, so what do we got on the show? Make
Well,
us all feel better.
coincidentally, thinking about this business idea, it's perfect because we have Simon Lovell, and he is the founder, and he does a podcast called Picklepreneur. And he will coach and consult with people that want to start a business around pickleball.
Hmm.
Very, very interesting guy, really sharp business mind. I think people are really going to enjoy the conversation. So come on back and meet Simon from Picklepreneur. Welcome back to Third Shot. We appreciate all the support that you're providing us on social media, on YouTube, on our website. Please keep giving us your feedback and your comments on Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, you name it. We love hearing all your comments. Bridgie and I are super excited to speak with the host of Picklepreneur podcast, Simon Lovell. How are you doing, Simon?
I'm doing fantastic on this amazing day. How about you guys?
We're doing great too. And thank you for joining us. Before we kick off our questions for you, we do like to do a little toast. So we'll cheers to picklepreneurs.
Cheers to
Cheers.
Picklepreneurs.
Cheers.
What have you guys got there? This is almond milk for anyone that's watching.
Mm,
I've got a little immunity shot,
Oh, is
hopefully to
it got
keep
spicy?
myself
I like the
well.
spicy ones when it comes to like
yeah.
ginger.
Yes, it has ginger and turmeric.
Oh, I like that.
I have this ice, a sparkling ice, and then I splash it with some vodka. So
Nice.
that's kind of that's kind of my new little invention there. So it was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
So, Simon, start us off by telling us how did you get started in the world of pickleball? What was your introduction to the sport like?
So mine came through a lot of pain. Actually, I was in 2021. I was diagnosed with a rare, very rare condition called Guillain-Barré syndrome, in which the immune system attacks the nerves. And this was after getting COVID. I was unable to walk, and so I, at 44 years old, went back to live with my family in Florida. And then it was coming back to San Diego that I was spending 2 hours meditating to help my back to recover and improve my posture. And I heard the sound of pickleballs at the Marriott Hotel, which is where I live. I'm fortunate enough to have a court right at the back of my apartment, and also at the Marriott Hotel. So I've got pickleball all around me. So at the time, I didn't know anything about it. I went in to the fitness center, which I walk with my dog every day, but I never went in. And I said, "Hey, what's the deal with pickleball?" And they said, there's a thing called open play. You can come and just, mix in. I'm like, oh, this is perfect, because at the time, going through my recovery, I was spending a lot of time isolating, and also, just I kind of gave up on life, honestly, with the condition, in a way, especially when it came to business. And pickleball really helped me to come back to life in terms of just getting me active again, getting me connecting with people again. Despite having spent a decade working in personal development, I had this health condition that really shook me in so many ways. And so I feel a very deep connection with pickleball because of, yes, how it's helped me, but also, in the transformational aspect in so many different areas. And so now coming back and feeling better again and feeling like I want to get into business again, this is now where I feel like I want to help as many people as I can with the skills that I've developed over the past decade in business, in being able to move from England to America for my business. Now I've been here for 10 years. And also in personal development, having invested and worked with some of the best in the world. I'm coming into the space to add value to others throughout the podcast and the other things I'm doing.
And then you've had background working with Tony Robbins, I believe, right?
2015, yeah, I was in his platinum program. So I was at a mastermind, and a friend of mine had a ticket for UPW. I went along, signed up to platinum. I spent a couple of years. So I traveled the world with Tony, and learned from him at the top level, India, and lots of intimate events, just worked with his trainers and stuff like that. So a lot of very profound, deep healing experiences, I would say, for the things that I went through at the time, which would have been addiction and other personal challenges that I've been through. And so I've actually worked with, Olympians and top performers when it comes to helping them to improve their habits, their behaviors, their performance, really, right? Taking more action, not procrastinating so much. So I love now applying some of this business and this kind of thing into helping people within this space.
I don't want to throw us too off track, but I got to ask you, what's Tony like behind the scenes? I mean, everybody's seen him on stage.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, I
and
did. I wrote an article about this for entrepreneur.com. I do articles for them, but I wrote in there that, there's Tony, who you would see at an event, and then there's him eye to eye. And the thing that a lot of people say, which is very true, which is once you're beyond the celebrity, oh my God, it's Tony Robbins type of thing, which takes, a few times to go away, then it's really about his level of presence with you that causes you to take what he says very seriously and action it. When you have someone like that you go to, for example, when I went to him, in Business Mastery in London, and I said, hey, I was going through this relationship challenge. He just this is what he said to me. He said, Simon, are you going to India? And he was looking me in the eye. I think he was holding me on the shoulder, and I was like, yeah, I'm going. He was just like, I'm gonna rip that shit out of you. And it was just like the way, the way that he said it was like, it was, he's so based upon certainty. And when someone has that level of certainty and you feel like that person's going to help you, it helps to build trust, and it helps you to take what he's saying seriously. The other important thing about Tony's work also is the amount of immersion that he puts you into. Like meditation is a fine example. When that also, I teach that when it comes to performance. But in India, you're meditating for hours versus doing it for 10 or 15 minutes. And so, he takes you on that spiritual journey as well as the business acumen when it comes to understanding the life cycles and the maturity of businesses and the strategic aspect throughout the different events. One event is Hawaii relationship. The other one is India for spiritual. So he's touching on all of these different areas to help you to become more whole as an individual.
That's so cool.
Wow, I know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And for our listeners, Simon does have an incredible website that details everything, like the timeline of his story and all of his background accomplishments and who he's worked with in the past. So definitely go check that out. We'll drop his link at the end of the show as well as in the show notes too. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
What point from learning pickleball did you decide, okay, now I'm going to start my own kind of pickleball business, entrepreneurship? Was there something that sparked that, or was it just kind of bringing your two worlds together?
There's a fun story actually. So during my recovery, I got into AI and stuff like that. It's a very cathartic process for me. I can't draw a stick man, but I can take something in my head and put it into AI and produce something which is interesting. So I created this Instagram on a Friday, and then I saw that Michelle Pfeiffer got hit in the eye with a pickleball on the Saturday. And then I created a movie poster. She was in Batman Returns. And so I created this movie poster with Pickleball Returned, of which I tagged her sibling, her sister. And then she saw it and shared it to like 3 million followers on the Monday. And so I'd gone from this creation of this Instagram on a Friday to Michelle Pfeiffer sharing it 2 days later. And so I played around with the AI, but then I was still in the stage of just not, just coming back into like wanting to there was no monetization behind it or no thinking about business. It was just fun and playful for me. And then towards the end of last year, I started to have more conversations and really started to think about the skills that I've developed in, growing a multi-million-dollar company when I moved to the States in online program design and performance design. I can tell you about a process that I developed that was very transformational, also, in the mindset space. And so I didn't want to waste that skill set that I have for the amount of people that are coming into this space wanting to grow businesses and maybe not having the mindset, especially coaches and also business owners, because I spent many years helping personal trainers to grow their businesses and also clubs and gyms. And then of course the mindset aspect and the performance aspect, especially around things like accountability and neuroscience, of which I've studied a lot and have a system and a process. And so what I'm observing in the space is so many amazing things, but also just I'm an optimizer and I see opportunity a lot of what I'm seeing from a branding, a marketing, and also a performance aspect. And so it was honestly, it was kind of like this, which was like the activity of pickleball helped me to feel better. And then in feeling better, that was when I decided to call it Picklepreneurs, because I'd had this business called Fitpreneurs before. And so it's too good of a name, in my opinion, with the alliteration, right? And people are already associating with that already as an entrepreneur, because there are so many different challenges as an entrepreneur, especially, if you look at certification, right? If you look at certification of someone saying, okay, I'm going to get certified as a coach, the gap between certification and success can often be sabotaged with all of the things that come up as a new business owner. Yes, I love this, I'm going to become a coach, but how do I market myself? Like, how do I put myself out there? There's so many things that can stop us in that journey to be quote unquote successful, whatever we define that to be, whether that's financially 10,000 a month or impacting a certain amount of people or whatever success is. I define that differently now from when I was more materialistic and wanted Ferraris and big houses, right? So I think dependent on someone's definition of success, I want to help to move them along through the milestones to get there, not as quickly as possible, but as efficiently as possible. Because I believe that the space right now, yes, it's growing, but I don't like to see people fail who have the skill set, but maybe a few tweaks that can actually support them in their journey.
What are you finding with, business owners or people that want to start their own business? You mentioned earlier a little bit about self-sabotage, but there's a lot of things that really get in the way of actually taking the step and saying, yes, I'm actually going to do this and I'm going to make this happen. Like, what are you seeing in people when they come to you with these ideas that's holding them up, and how do you get them through that hurdle?
Well, I'll tell you a story. So the biggest thing I would say on a mindset level is going to be fear, and that's understanding your own emotional intelligence. Honestly, because there's imposter syndrome when you're new. There's anything you got sales. Someone may like talking about their service, but when it comes to transitioning to asking for the sale, they may have rejection stuff come up. So there's a lot, but I would say that in helping you know top performers when it comes to CEOs, my experience with founders in particular, I developed, I noticed a theme in completion rates of online programs, of which there were a lot of people signing up, but around 20% of people completing the actions. And so what does that tell you? It tells you that people have good intentions, but they have struggle following through into completion, which is problematic for someone that wants to be a high performer. So what I did was I looked at that and said, I would love to produce a process whereby I could kick people out if they didn't take action, because I'm here in Coronado in San Diego, and right here are the Navy SEALs. They're everywhere, right? This is where they train, right outside my home. And so if you look at the Navy SEALs, when they put them through, they're not looking for everyone to go through, right? It's not like everyone go through. It's a high level. It's a top performance level. So what I did was I created an accountability process where you had to do things every day to retrain the brain. And that's about shifting identity. And so, I have a process that I take people through step by step versus just giving them a lot of information. But in putting the clients through that, what comes up most of the time is this fear and the courage to be seen, the courage to put yourself out there. Because the moment you choose to be a business owner, especially now if you don't have a massive budget and you're not growing a big brand, you can't afford to hide behind your logo. You need to be out there. Your face needs to be there because people connect with you in that way, right? People can learn the strategy, but they have trouble implementing it because of overthinking, or their friends and family are saying a certain thing. And so it's easy to fall back into doing what's comfortable, right? There was a stage, before I'd made my first million in 2015, where that was not a reality for me. Like, I knew I wanted it, but I had to build my confidence, because there was a time where I'd struggle to charge $100 for my services because I didn't think I was good enough to charge that. So how am I, it's a good idea to make millions, but actually how do you actually do that? And so for me, I needed mentorship. I needed coaching. I needed people to challenge me. There's, a great story, or lots of great stories with my mentors, Tony being one of them, but other mentors that really challenged me with my behaviors of what I was doing that wasn't supporting me, So it's not just one thing. You have to look at somebody's individual skill set, what they're good at, and give people honest feedback on the reality of what they would need to do in order to grow a business. Because to grow a business, yes, you've got the mindset aspect, but you've also got marketing, you've also got sales. But then even if you make a sale, you've still got to deliver a good service and a good product. And while pickleball is great and it's upcoming, and it's growing in a rapid rate, there's going to be people that want to make money in it, but put things out there that just make money, but maybe aren't the highest of quality, right? So there's integrity with that too, right? Into people's intentions. Like for me coming into pickleball, I'm saying to myself, what are the skills that I already have where that's my zone of genius? Because one of the things I teach, which is knowing your zone of genius. What is my zone of genius? And then where can I develop around that to be more specific within pickleball, right? So I think it's very important, if you're going to grow any business, to know what's my lane of what I'm good at. And then if you don't want to learn that other thing to be better, then outsource, have the skills to outsource the things that you're not good at, And of course, we could be talking about a paddle company. We could be talking about a merch company. We could also be talking about, a coaching company. A good example is, a coach wanting to go full time. I've helped, hundreds of personal trainers go from, part-time to full-time. I'll give you another good story around, let's just look at that industry in comparison to pickleball, which is, I would often work with a personal trainer that wants to have a gym, but it was a dream, but they never really thought it was possible until I said, hey, even though you don't have the money right now, go and look at some locations. And then what would magically happen, because they went into a location, they saw it, they felt it, they was like, oh my God, this could be mine. And then suddenly they scrambled to make things happen. Well, why does that happen? Well, in Think and Grow Rich, there's something called intensity of desire. And when you go and take an action, like be in an environment where it suddenly becomes like it lights you up mentally, then you start to find a way, versus saying, well, I can't because, a big excuse for a lot of people is money. And what Tony Robbins will say is that it's not about money, it's about resources, the resources that you have to make things happen.
I see Uncle's eyes over there lighting up because
I know.
especially
We're talking the same language, Simon. Totally. Yeah.
right. And
Love
then
it.
go look at places. I mean, it's something that Uncle's talked about too, with wanting to open up a club and everything. So I know that he's super excited over there. My question for you is, the pickleball world right now is relatively new, in regards to maybe like other sports industries. What are you seeing as some of like the most successful types of businesses? Are they paddle companies, clubs? Where should people be looking? Or maybe it's the absence of certain products that they should be looking at.
Well, I mean, I don't, I'm not, I'm only seeing what's out there. I'm not knowing what's, financial numbers, right? So I think there's what's perceived and then there's what's reality. Um, I'm in San Diego, and you've got the Hub here, right, which is one of the biggest or the biggest clubs in California. So you've got clubs which are obviously popping up all the time. What I see as a potential good opportunity is, you think about personal trainers with studios. I think that there's once the coaches understand the right model, I think that there's going to be a really big opportunity in small boutique like personal training when it comes to pickleball. Like interming, you're going to start to see personal trainers like bring in pickleball with fitness and other things. Like we're already seeing certain brands. I polled on LinkedIn recently to say, which of these ideas did you like most? Because these are things that I would like, right? Pickleball and coffee, pickleball and wings. We already have chicken pickleball, right?
Yeah.
Pickleball and co-working, or pickleball in a dog park. So I have a dog, right? So it's like, but of course, most people on LinkedIn, they want like pickleball and co-working. So I see lots of like these micro niches starting to open up, which I think is going to be a good opportunity. But again, I think it really depends on the individual and the idea, and then also looking at disrupting a market. So for example, what I talked about earlier in online courses, right? Noticing that people weren't completing things and then flipping that model on the head versus just giving people information and producing a different model. Or for example, I created a networking event where, my frustration when you go into networking events is everyone says, what do you do? And so I said when people walked in, you can't ask that question. You have to go on 4 coffee dates until you ask what the person does. And what that does is that actually develops a genuine relationship versus this kind of contest that people have when they first network. So I think that if zig when people are zagging, or vice versa, right? Notice what's out there. And I think that AI is great because it can help people not to literally, create a whole business, which you could. But I think that AI is very good for sparking ideas and getting clarity, and also doing research. It provides that knowledge base to go out there. But the best way is to have conversations. Like I'm really pretty new, but the thing that I'm doing right now is having as many conversations as I can to understand needs. And when you ask great questions, you're going to find out what needs are and problems are, which then you can fulfill. And I've learned so much over the past month by having conversations with people and finding out where these problems are. So a lot of great ideas come from problems and issues that we already see. I just like to see less of people, slapping something on a product versus actually doing deeper work behind it. That's what I think. But those things end up getting weeded out anyway.
Yeah. I just love how your brain works, Simon. That's what this conversation just, it excites me because I just love how your brain works. And one of the episodes that you did kind of reminds me of something that happened to me earlier today. I had a kind of unfortunate incident on the court where it kind of, I hurt myself slightly, right? But it made me think of a product that is necessary to prevent injuries. And one of the episodes you had is you had an unfortunate incident that kind of happened to you on the court, and it kind of inspired you to create a process. Tell everybody what happened to you, and then how that really got you going and started you thinking.
You're right, like the way that my mind works. So I mean, I've been hit in pickleball before, but I got hit in the privates. The episode podcast wasn't called that, but I got hit in the privates, and it was stung. This was new for me because I was like, wow. And it was funny because I'd already thought about, should I get some glasses? You see the pros somewhere that Anna Lee always does. She's got to buy, and then I get hit there, and I was like, wow, if there was someone stood. I'm in pain, right? So one of the things to understand when it comes to sales is like when there's pain, there needs to be a solution, right? There's
Yeah,
these two
yeah.
worlds. And so I was like, if someone was there on the corner, right there selling a pair of like underwear with some protection, like I probably would have bought it because I was in pain. And so, I think there's crazy ideas, and then there's actually things what people would pay for. I think that's important to understand. When people say, that's a good idea, are they willing to pull out their credit card and make a purchase? So yeah, I like to use my own personal experiences on coming up with different ideas. But yeah, the other thing too, which I think is an area which I love is with performance too, with optimization, because I think there's we are all on the court wanting to be better and not have so many like mini outbursts, right? But there's also like when it comes to pro level, like what's happening behind the scenes and all the pressures, all of the things that we don't talk about as business owners, right? There's what we present to the world and what we show, and then there's all of the things that is happening behind the scenes. I was talking to someone today from a very well-known pickleball company, and he was one of the top two, and he was saying about the fact that he was going through a big relationship challenge at the time of competing. And so there you've got another issue, right? Relationship challenges that cause people to not perform at the top level. And so I think that that's one of the things I want to get involved in more, which is helping people with that, because one of my strong suits is, yes, asking questions, but also helping people to be happier, because I spent a lot of my time in my life in pain through the addictions and the childhood trauma I went through and all of this stuff. But I see, lots of avenue for people to grow. But, if the individual isn't growing, then the business isn't going to grow, especially in the early stages where you don't, have a team and it's just you and you're the person responsible for every aspect of the business, from the product ideas to the product creation, to the hiring, to the marketing, to then worrying about where the money's coming from every month if the sales are down, or even getting something moving, and then there's, the challenge of connection with people. A lot of entrepreneurs isolate and they don't want to do that part, and they struggle with that, making connections. Like you reached out to me, maybe it's very natural for you guys now because you've been doing this for a while. It's also not for a lot of people, and they struggle with that, so we've got to develop personally, we've got to stretch ourselves personally, we've got to have courage, but when you have that courage, it gives you a lot of energy. One of the things I've loved to study is David Hawkins' Power versus Force, which is a great book, Letting Go. But he talks about courage being that first point. When we move into the space of courage, it gives us a lot of energy, and we're constantly reminded then of what we're capable of. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your background in health and wellness coaching as well as business coaching, you can help a lot of people out there. And that's where you're headed with Picklepreneurs. Can you share with our audience kind of what's in store and what your plans are for Picklepreneurs?
So I would put it into a number of groups. I would say that it's coaches, clubs, pros, who, and companies who are within the inner circle of pickleball. I have, certain skill sets with certain things. For example, one of mine is building digital products. I see a lot of opportunity for people in the space to do that a lot better, even though it's, if it's out there, it's great. But like, how do you actually get people better results versus just giving them a lot of information? And there's obviously a lot of free videos and content out there. So I think that there's a great opportunity for some of the pros to actually build a sustainable income, and if you look at sports management, one of the things that the managers would want to do is set the pros up for success beyond their time, right? There's a window of opportunity when attention's on them, but how does that person build something sustainable beyond that period of time that they are in the space? So you've got the inner circle of companies, pros, clubs especially. I see a lot of opportunity within clubs to optimize and streamline and segment a lot better when it comes to systems and also marketing. Like simple things, see more staff on camera, right? An easy one to do, but maybe the staff, have fear of being on camera and as an example. And then you've got entrepreneurs who are in pickleball that I want to bring together. So maybe there's a real estate agent, right, who's playing pickleball right now. There's a theme, there's a commonality. And that commonality is that it's now an entrepreneur who, when you ask the question, what are your hobbies? They don't say nothing. They say pickleball, and they own the fact that, no, I'm not someone who is just addicted to my business. I'm actually someone that has a lifestyle beyond that. And that's where I fell short actually prior to pickleball. You asked me what my hobbies were, and it would be, business. I would do things at events. I'd have clients, jump out of airplanes and jump off rocks in Bali. But that was part of my business. It wasn't really what I was doing for myself. And when we look at how the brain works, it's very easy to get addicted to your business and not build your lifestyle in. And so one of the things that I'm committed to for myself, because of the medical condition that I've had and the seriousness of that, is to make sure that when I'm growing Picklepreneurs and helping the businesses, that I'm not stopping playing pickleball because of my business. I put lifestyle first, and I understand that I can still grow my business, and it doesn't have to be the other way around. I don't have to spend the majority of my time on the business and fit in a bit of pickleball. Actually, if you operate yourself in the correct way, you can actually put your lifestyle first and still have a great business if you understand systems and if you actually put the structure right. Of course, that's everyone's individual choice. But what I have heard is that some people started businesses in pickleball and now they're not playing at all. But then what's the point?
What's the point? I mean, it's so true. And what you find is if your lifestyle is supporting keeping you happy, your business is going to probably do better because of it. If you're miserable inside and you have no time except to do business, a lot of businesses that I've worked with in the past fail or they suffer because of that. They need some balance. So I love what you're saying there. And for the business owners or the people that want to get into and start their own business in pickleball, like what will be the initial consultation with you? What's that initial conversation, and what do you ask? What do you try to find out, and how do you start working with them?
Well, I mean, they can go to picklepreneurs.com and book a strategy session with me. It's honestly dependent on the conversation with someone of where we go. Like the other day, I had a conversation with a consultant, and actually the thing that I'm helping him with is to, brand himself a bit better, because maybe he's hiding behind his logo a bit, right? So a lot of the things in the early stages are actually going to be more psychological. But really, I'm making sure that that's the right avenue for somebody, because it needs someone that you trust to ask challenging questions, not just feed you things which you want to hear. Asking difficult questions like, is that the right avenue, right? What are the what are the risks involved, but also what are the strengths to then put someone in the right lane? So I'm also not going to take on certain businesses dependent on if it's not my zone to help them, and I'll probably refer that out to someone else. Right now, I'm in the space of just adding value, and you'll probably learn from listening to the podcast, the things that I'm talking about. I'm well versed in those areas. I understand those pieces, and of course, I'll start to get some guests on at some point. But yeah, they can head to picklepreneurs.com, and then there'll be a button for a strategy session.
Wonderful. Cool. And on picklepreneurs.com too, they can also access your podcast episodes. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, there's about, I think, 6 or so.
Yeah, it's got a great show. I enjoy it.
Thank you, guys.
Why don't we take a toast to what you are doing on Picklepreneurs, on your podcast with the businesses? Congratulations. Really good job. Cheers.
Cheers.
And thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of your stories with us, because like you said, even though that may not be a pickleball business and they might not be producers of anything, as long as they're within the pickleball world and have some sort of business involved, you are there for them and you're there to support them and provide them with some sort of advice or some guidance, lifestyle advice too, which I love. And I think that that's fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing everything.
Thanks. Yeah, what I would say also is if someone's got that entrepreneurial spirit in them and they want to do something in pickleball, I think that there's lots of opportunity. I just think that it's important for people to, yes, be in their lane, but also understand the reality of what's ahead and the person and the challenges that could be in their way if they decide to go a certain route. And to make that a seamless and the easiest journey as possible. We all know that if we're in entrepreneurship, it's full of ladders, right? We have that in pickleball. There's this well, in England it's snakes and ladders, right? Apparently it's different in the States. But that's what it's like to be on the entrepreneurial journey. You always see that. You ever seen that thing where it's like a squiggle and it's not like a linear process of success? It's painful. It's emotional. It's so how do I say it? Sporadic in so many different areas. But if someone wants to do it, they will have the drive. I'm also not here to give someone the drive. Someone has to have the energy, of which the energy I direct. I'm not pushing someone up the hill. They've got to want to do it. That's the other thing. And that's what makes a great client, actually, for anybody, is someone that's got the drive that says, hey, I'm ready. I just need direction, versus trying to motivate somebody to move. And that's impossible. Just like a personal trainer can't, force someone to show up for the session.
Right.
Yeah. Well, for all of our listeners that feel they have that drive, they have that entrepreneurial spirit, and they want to take the next step, I highly encourage them to go to picklepreneurs.com, meet with Simon. I think it's the great next step on the whole evolution of what you're going to do and hopefully your next career with pickleball. So, Simon, thank you so much for coming on again. We really appreciate all the knowledge you dropped, and we wish you the best. And for all of our listeners, thank you for joining us and sharing Bridgie and I's pickleball journey. We really enjoy talking to people like Simon. Again, go to picklepreneurs.com or check them out on Picklepreneurs on Instagram. Simon, you also said you're on LinkedIn as well. Can people find
mostly active with the business community on LinkedIn, so they can find me.
And what's the name on LinkedIn that people can
if
find?
they go to picklepreneurs.com, it's at the bottom right. They can just hit the button there, get there easily.
Perfect. Go do it. I think it's very helpful in figuring out what your next steps are. And let's continue our next steps with our enjoyment of the game of pickleball and keep growing this pickleball community. So we'll see you next time on Third Shot Podcast.